pretty sure that Spohr makes the best revolver money can buy right now. As you know, when it comes to premium revolvers, I'm a huge fan of the Manurhin MR73. Probably butchered that. I'm a hick. What can I say? I've seen several complaints about the more recent Manurhins made in the Chapuis factory. Probably butchered that too. Ian, help me. I've had two MR73s from the Chapuis factory. One that I reviewed and one that I bought. Both of mine have been excellent. But there have been some seemingly credible complaints on the internet about quality control recently. That said, I've already filmed a video about the Spohr versus the Manurhin, which I'm going to air in a few weeks. I handled a Spohr for the first time ever at IWA 2022. I'm there walking the floor in Nuremberg. This revolver catches my eye. I was absolutely blown away by the build quality and the asking price. But I had to interview the owner of the company, Thomas Spohr, who did a great job of explaining why these guns cost so much.
Mr. Spohr, do you know how much these are going to cost in the United States?
This is prototype number one, and if after the show I have to do a new calculation, and we have to think about import costs and all these things, so yeah. 3,500.
Yes.
Something like that, yeah.
These are very expensive revolvers. For me personally, I can come here, I can handle one. I've shot one. I see where the money goes. I can feel it. You know, it's one of those things when you pick up a Rolex watch.
So the point is what you get something for the money. There are no MIM parts. Mm-hmm. That's what I have to say all the time, because people are asking why is that price so high.
Yeah, it's very high.
There are no MIM parts. We do all full of milled steel. We harden the first. We first harden the parts, and then we do the milling job and the erosion job, and this is where the price comes from. So this is it's another way to produce a gun because of high quality, small tolerances, and that was the initial idea to build this gun, to have a higher quality with small tolerances.
The Spohr revolvers aren't expensive because they're made out of meteorites with checkered, overmolded grips fabricated from mahogany and JFK's skull fragments or some shit. The Spohr isn't cheap because these revolvers are simply manufactured with top-tier processes and top-tier materials, hand-fitted with tight tolerances, no metal injection molded parts. That's the big one. No MIM. Metal injection molding is an inexpensive manufacturing process used to make smaller and more complex metal parts, very common in the gun industry. Milling the parts results in a stronger, more uniform piece, but metal injection molding is cheaper, faster, easier, and it does a good enough job. But not good enough for old Tommy boy. Thomas Spohr hates MIM. Thomas Spohr is part of the prestigious S&W 30 Gunsmithing Club, which is, by the way, the most German thing ever. They all get together and tune their guns. I picture it as a combination of like the Continental from John Wick, but with D&D adventurers wearing lederhosen, or maybe it's like a faculty meeting at Hogwarts or something.
We have a community of 27 gunsmiths in Germany, which start with tuning Smith and Wesson revolvers, and from time to time we removed the triggers and these things, and that was one of the reasons why we decided in 2019 to do our own revolvers, because we had the machines and the capacity, and that's how all the things started.
Over the years, I've gotten to test several early Spohr guns. 4, in fact. I have tested over the past 2-3 years 4 Spohr revolvers, but I've never done a video. Now, Spohr is officially making its presence known in the US. I've gotten to review one of the guns that they are importing, and I think is going to be stocked here, the Spohr Club 3.0, which could be arguably a perfect revolver.
You remember, this is my favorite model. It's a 3-inch version that if you want to remove the cylinder, you just throw it out and then you push the button, and then it's possible to do a fast change. We also offer 9mm with moon clips, and that's one of the things which is special. Then we had the chance to put the crane lock here. For that reason, we had to enlarge the wall on the frame, and now the locking is very near through the axis, and that's one of the new things. And even that, also we had the possibility to enlarge the diameter of the barrel, so it's a more stable system. So you have a bigger barrel outside. Now you can have a look on our brand new mainspring system. You know, it's adjustable. You use an align key, go through the frame into that tube here, and then you can lift it up to engage or enlarge, how you say, I don't know, to enlarge the ignition power. Then we offer 3 or 4 different springs where you can adjust it also. Then we have here, it's a brass bearing, which helps to move the system a little bit while cocking the hammer. And on new is that on our Club 30 edition, we also have the adjustability for cocking the rebound slide spring. So you can now choose or adjust the trigger weight more than 400 gram in this area.
Let's get it out of the way. This son of a bitch costs $3,749. But you ain't buying this gun to hold up a liquor store. Although you might need to hold up a liquor store to afford it. But again, this is arguably the best revolver being made as we sit here today on planet Earth. I wanted the 3.0 Club because it was the closest thing to a concealable handgun that Spohr makes. The smallest, lightest gun that they make. I wanted to see how well it shot with 357 mag in case I ran into any saucy rapscallions under the interstate overpass while gallivanting about in my costume de rigueur. Spohr with 158 grain 357 mag from Remington. Here we go. God, that is a zesty fella. Zesty fella. Woo! I got to tell you, the grips are beautiful and a good amount of grip on them, but they are smooth up top, as you can see here. You got smooth finger grooves, a little bit of checkering here in the palm swell area. These are lovely. I don't know if Nil makes these. These look like Nil grips. Even have a similar mark down here in the bottom. These are some of the most beautiful grips I've ever seen for any revolver, but they are kind of smooth, which makes the recoil a little bit worse. Actually, shooting full house defensive 357 Magnum hollow points, as it turns out, not as pleasant of a shooting experience as I've been told. But let's see how we shot. Not bad. 2 in the 9. The Club 3.0, 3-inch barrel, 357 Magnum. Of course, this means that it works with 38 Special, and for a $1,000 upcharge, Spohr will send an additional cylinder and moon clips that will let your revolver also work with 9mm. A word of caution, if you get the 9mm cylinder, buy extra moon clips and a moon clip puller, because the tolerances are so damn tight on these revolvers that even if you ever so slightly bend the moon clip, the cylinder will bind. Moon clips fucking suck. Like, they're just made out of such shitty material. Yeah, it doesn't even want to come out now. Look at that, there's just no clearance. This model features a 6-shot cylinder, weighs 38 ounces. Again, it's the lightest one they make. I consider 40 ounces to be the top end of too heavy to carry, since 40 ounces is about your standard steel 1911 weight. The Club 3.0, just shy of that. Maybe not ideal for carry, but definitely functional if you choose to. And on top of that, because it's based on the 686, I'm thinking there's a possibility that you'd be able to use L-frame, Smith & Wesson L-frame holsters. Not guaranteeing anything. Certainly if you're wading into like the universal L-frame holsters, those will almost certainly work. But as far as like custom Kydex, whatever, I don't know. I'd maybe check with Spohr for fitment, maybe check with the holster manufacturer of your choice, but there are a lot of dimensions in common with the 686 series from Smith & Wesson. Part of the reason that the Club is such a fat son of a bitch is because it's constructed entirely from stainless steel, ensuring durability, resistance to corrosion, excellent shootability, recoil management. The black PVD coating might be worth the, I think it's a $450 upcharge if you do plan to carry it. Now, one of the standout features of the Club is the integrated Picatinny rail in the barrel, making it easy to mount an optic, which is still highly unusual for a revolver, but there's no reason not to do it. Dude, I can't do this.
What?
This fine German revolver
It's just a quick, funny
with this Chinese optic.
You get the same benefits as mounting an optic on an auto loader. It just hadn't caught on yet in the more traditional revolver space. The barrels are cold hammer forged, polygonal match barrels. The trigger is what you're here for. This gun has one of the best triggers of any revolver I've ever shot. Maybe any gun really that I've shot, with a single action weight of about 2.8 pounds out of the box. The hammer and the trigger are skeletonized to reduce weight and give the club a distinctive look. The club uses an overbuilt push-forward cylinder release. It's a unique touch, complemented by an adjustable trigger stop and a fluted cylinder in the club design. For grips, it sports walnut combat grips that not only provide a comfortable hold, but they also enhance the revolver's aesthetics. The sighting system includes an adjusted LPA rear sight and a gold dot front sight. The Spohr is absolutely beautiful. You can tell it's precision engineered because the surface of the gun is virtually seamless. There's no play anywhere on this revolver. The side plate, nearly invisible. The design is unmistakably based on the Smith & Wesson 686 that Mr. Spohr and his club are so familiar with. But it has a number of unique features like a ball detent lockup instead of ejector rod lockup, enhancing reliability. The trigger of the Spohr gives it a buttery smooth, predictable, and consistent pull without stacking. And between the match barrel and the trigger, this revolver produces excellent accuracy.
I mean, even the 357, like, the 357's tracking where I shot the 38 earlier. So, I mean, you definitely feel that you're shooting 357, but you can still shoot it accurately, and that's what's most important. Good trigger.
Now, as a fun little touch, you wouldn't notice it, you wouldn't expect it, but this polished strip on the cylinder actually makes the trigger better by reducing drag of the cylinder stop. It's attention to detail like this which sets the Spohr revolver apart from pretty much everything else out there in the market today. The double action trigger weight's adjustable through tuning screws and the mainspring retention housing. You can make the trigger lighter or heavier based on your taste. The ejection system works perfectly. Ergonomics are nearly perfect. Ejection, easy via the oversized cylinder eject button. Extraction, also easy with this robust ejector rod. Brass falls out of the gun like it just clocked out on a Friday. I say ergonomics are almost perfect because the grips, while being both attractive and utilitarian, at the same time have a smooth upper that you won't really notice if you're shooting 9mm or 38, but it will challenge your grip, I promise you, once you get to 357 Magnum. The Manurhin MR73, by comparison, has this hefty thumb shelf, a horn on the grip to keep the revolver secure when you're firing the big artillery through it. Although the MR73's grips are admittedly not nearly as beautiful as the Spohr's, gotta say that. While L-frame grips from Smith & Wesson won't just plug and play fit on the Spohr's, a few minutes of hand fitting should allow you to use nearly any grip made for the 686 on the club. In all, I've been testing Spohr revolvers for several years now. As I mentioned, in preparation for this review, I firmly believe these may be the best revolvers that you can buy right now. Manurhin's are, of course, absolutely wonderful. I love them. I have one. I'll have a face-off between the Spohr and the Manurhin soon. I, of course, have to mention Korth, but I have to admit, I've never had the opportunity to shoot one in spite of making several requests over the years for a T&E gun. So Korth guys, if you're watching this, hit me up. Korth may still be worth a look, but frankly, on paper, it's easy to see that Spohr spored no expense in making the club. Guys, did you enjoy this review? I received nothing in exchange for it. We are independently supported. Thank you so much for watching, but if you really want to support us and help us out, consider going to subscribestar.com/TFBTV and just throwing us $1 or $2 a month. We do tons of giveaways. We give away gift certificates. We give away prizes every single month, and we've got some fun opportunities for engagement, such as Discord, a private Discord, in fact, for our Patreon, Subscribestar, and Utreon members. However, I'm just appreciative that you're watching. Thanks as usual. Take care, everyone.